Welcome to today's Explainer. We're cracking open a truly wild case file today. We are looking at the 2026 mystery comedy film, The Sheep Detectives. Now, you might be thinking, wait, a murder mystery solved by sheep? And yeah, that is absolutely what we have here. Based on the novel Three Bags Full, this brilliant cozy whodunit literally flips the entire genre on its head. It tells a super complex, deeply philosophical story, but entirely from the perspective of a flock of pasture animals. It's this fascinating look at grief, memory, and criminal investigation, all viewed through a very, well, woolly lens. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our case board for today. We're going to trace the clues just like the flock does, starting with murder in the meadow, checking out the suspects and secret fortunes, following a trail of false clues, facing the reality of death, unmasking the true killer, and wrapping the whole thing up with a flock reborn. Let's get right into it. Right, Section 1, Murder in the Meadow, shattering the status quo. So picture this. We're in the idyllic English village of Denbrook. The sheep in this local pasture live a ridiculously privileged, blissfully ignorant life. Their beloved shepherd, George Hardy, literally spends his days reading murder mystery novels out loud to them. Because of this, the sheep have a very, let's call it naive, worldview. To them, death is just this neat little plot device in a book. They actually believe that when a sheep dies, it just floats up into the sky and turns into a fluffy cloud. Whenever they face anything uncomfortable, they just kind of will themselves to forget it. But then, the grim reality hits. George is found dead, poisoned, right outside his trailer. This absolutely shatters their innocent little bubble. Devastated, three key sheep decide they're going to investigate. Lily, a ewe who loves crime solving, Mopple, a ram who refuses to forget things, and Sebastian, a rescue sheep who's a bit of a loner. Let's move to Section 2, Suspects and Secret Fortunes. The will reading. Now, to solve a murder, you obviously need a suspect list. The whole town gathers at the local inn for the reading of George's will, and wow, our suspect pool expands fast. We've got Rebecca Hampstead, George's newly discovered twin daughter who just flew in from America. There's Elliot Matthews, this local reporter pushing hard for an investigation, and Tim Deary, the town's rather clumsy sole police officer. We also meet Lydia Hartbottle, the attorney handling the estate, plus locals like Ham Gilliard, the butcher, and Caleb Marrow, a neighboring shepherd. Oh, and joining remotely from South Africa is Peter, George's other twin child, Rebecca's brother. Since the twins were given up for adoption after their mother died in childbirth, they are practically complete strangers to this town. During this will reading, a massive bombshell drops. Turns out, George wasn't just some humble shepherd. He was secretly loaded. He had invented and sold the patent for an orph medicine, which is a treatment for a contagious sheep disease, and built up this huge secret fortune. And what's more, a brand new will is presented. His old one left everything to charity, but this new one gives the entire fortune to his daughter, Rebecca. So, suddenly, we have our primary motive right there, cold hard cash. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how the evidence comes together. Section 3, a trail of false clues. Framing the daughter. The evidence begins to stack up perfectly against Rebecca. Actually, scratch that, it's almost too perfect. Let's follow this timeline. On the night of the murder, a piece of jewelry, a bangle, is dropped in the grass right near the crime scene. The next morning, a sheep named Cloud reveals she found it. The flock actually manages to lead that clumsy police officer, Tim, straight to the meadow to find it. And guess what? The bangle belongs to Rebecca. This totally contradicts her earlier claim that she'd never actually met her father in person. Later that afternoon, things get even worse for her. Tim discovers the exact type of poisonous berries used to kill George squashed right into the soles of Rebecca's boots. The breadcrumbs lead straight to her, and despite her swearing she's innocent, she gets arrested. Which brings us to Section 4, the reality of death, a devastating realization. I really want to slow the pace down here for a second, because this is where our explainer takes a decidedly darker, way more emotional turn. With George dead and Rebecca locked up, the flock is supposed to be taken in by Caleb, the neighboring shepherd. Lily and Mopple decide to sneak over to his meadow to meet their new flockmates. But instead of a friendly pasture, they uncover an absolute nightmare. Caleb has been secretly working with the town butcher, Ham Gilliard, to slaughter sheep for meat. For these innocent sheep who literally thought death just meant turning into a cloud, this is a horrific, brutal dose of reality. They're spotted immediately and get chased down by Caleb's vicious German shepherds. Suddenly, the stakes are literally life or death. During this terrifying chase, Sebastian, the loner sheep George had rescued from a carnival, steps in. He bravely fights off the dogs so Lily and Mopple can escape, but he tragically sacrifices his own life in the process. This right here is the crucial thematic anchor of the whole story. Witnessing Sebastian's brutal, permanent death forces Lily to finally understand that death is real. It is not a storybook concept. She realizes with his heavy guilt that she had actively willed herself to forget every single sheep she'd ever loved who passed away. The innocence of the flock is permanently gone. But, this grief sparks a fire. Section 5. Unmasking the True Killer. The final twist. Mopple encourages a super despondent Lily not to forget, but to actually embrace her memories of her lost loved ones. And by finally processing that grief, Lily finds the clarity she needs. She metaphorically, or, well, maybe literally, speaks to George's ghost and realizes Rebecca was completely framed. But how do a bunch of sheep communicate this to the human police? And this brilliantly illustrates the cleverness of the plot. They recruit the outcast Winter Lamb, a little guy the others picked on for being born in the wrong season, to sneak into the town jail. Using paint on his hooves, the lamb stamps out a message for Tim, the police officer, literally right as he's prepping to transfer Rebecca for prosecution. This hoof-painted message triggers a massive breakthrough for Tim. He pieces the clues together and realizes the shocking truth about the killer's identity. Remember Elliot Matthews, that overly eager local reporter who pushed so hard for the investigation? Yeah, he isn't a reporter at all. Elliot is actually Peter, George's secret twin son from South Africa. He'd been hiding in plain sight in a disguise the entire time. Let's break down this guy's master plan step by step, because it's wild. Step 1, murder his father, George, using those poisonous berries. Step 2, forge a brand new will, leaving that massive Orph medicine fortune entirely to his twin sister, Rebecca. Step 3, plant the bangle and the squashed berries to perfectly frame Rebecca. Why do all this? Because under the law, if the primary beneficiary is convicted of murdering the deceased, the inheritance automatically passes to the next of kin. Peter would get the entire fortune without drawing a single ounce of suspicion to himself. But thankfully, his plan falls apart. When Peter tries to make a run for it, he finds himself cornered, not by the police, but by twin rams Ronnie and Reggie. Peter's arrested and Rebecca is finally set free. All right, deep breath. We're at our final section. Section 6, A Flock Reborn. A bittersweet ending. The resolution here is just incredibly heartwarming, bringing together all these threads of grief and found family. Rebecca learns from the innkeeper that her biological mother's name was actually Lily, just like our lead sheep detective. Deeply touched by this, Rebecca officially takes her father's surname, Hardy, and claims ownership of the meadow and the flock. Even better, she buys all of Caleb's sheep, saving them from the butcher. The film wraps up so beautifully with Rebecca sitting down in the pasture to read murder mysteries out loud to the flock, carrying on George's legacy. Oh, and as a final, beautiful act of inclusion and remembrance, Lily officially names the heroic little winter lamb George. The story literally leaves us with this final, gorgeous image on screen. Lily looks towards the sunset and sees a cloud resembling Sebastian. It's such a poignant note that just perfectly ties off Lily's character arc. She's accepted the harsh reality of permanent death, sure, but she's also learned that keeping the memories of our loved ones alive allows them to stay with us, watching over us like clouds in the sky. It's a remarkably deep message wrapped up in such a fun, cozy mystery package. I mean, the flock solved the crime of the century, and they didn't even have opposable thumbs. Which leaves me with a fun question for you to ponder today. How would you handle investigating a murder mystery if you only had hooves? Let that steep for a bit. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.